Senate will please come to order. I would ask that all members please take their seats, that the guests please clear the aisles. The clerk will unlock the machine for the purpose of recording attendance. The clerk will lock the machine. There are 30 members in attendance. There is a quorum. At this time, I would ask for all members and the guests to please rise for the invocation and pledge of allegiance to be led today by Chairman Senator Juan Pichardo, representing the city of Providence.
Dear Lord, hear our prayer this day and guide us with your wisdom. Help us to break down the prejudice that prevents us from fully understanding and benefiting from the amazing diversity that is America. Let us give thanks and praise to those who have suffered so much for so long. Amen.
Amen. Business is the reading of the previous day's journal. Will the clerk please read?
State of Rhode Island and Providence Plantations.
Senator Pichardo.
Madam President, I move that the further reading of the journal be dispensed with and the journal be accepted as printed.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you.
The next order of business is the introduction of guests. Are there any guests present? The next order of business is committee reports and communications. Communications from Senator James Doyle. Please be advised I will be unable to attend Senate session on Thursday, February 25th, 2016. From Senator Frank Lombardi, pursuant to Rule 4.1, respectful request that Senate Resolution 2340 be withdrawn. Committee report from the Committee on Judiciary, Senate Bill 2109, Senate Bill 2233, Senate Bill 2224, calendar. Are there any further committee reports and/or communications? The next order of business is new business. Is there any new business? Senator Pichardo asked for immediate consideration of a Senate resolution commemorating the 172nd anniversary of the Dominican Republic independence on February 27, 2016. There being no objection, Senator Pichardo requests the resolution be read.
Senate resolution commemorating the 172nd anniversary of Dominican Republic independence on February 27, 2016. Whereas it is the tradition and practice of this legislative body to commemorate historical events which exemplify the diversity, spirit, and struggle of the people in Rhode Island and throughout the world that have achieved independence and live in peace and freedom. And whereas the people of the Dominican Republic acquired their independence from Spain on February 27th of 1844. And whereas each year this auspicious occasion is celebrated and provides an opportunity for all people to reflect upon the rich diversity of the Dominican Republic and the many contributions of Latin Americans to our country as well as the world. And whereas February 27th has been designated as Dominican Independence Day in the state of Rhode Island. And whereas it is the sense of this legislative body to recognize the great contributions which Dominicans have brought to our state and to our nation. And whereas on February 27th, the Dominican Republic and all free people will celebrate 172 years of Dominican independence. And whereas the seat of the original capital of the Spanish New World, the Dominican Republic, proclaims a host of American firsts. The first permanent European settlement, the first university, the first church, the first cathedral, the first mass, and the first royal court. And whereas on February 27, 1844, the Declaration of Independence was written by Juan Pablo Duarte, Francisco del Rosario Sanchez, and Ramon Mateus Mella. And whereas the Dominican Republic's record for free and fair elections sets an example for emerging democracies the world over. And whereas today the Dominican Republic has a close relationship with the United States and has been supportive of many U.S. initiatives. The Dominican Republic has accredited diplomatic missions in most of the countries in the Western Hemisphere and in principal European capitals, and belongs to many world organizations, including the United Nations, the World Bank, the International Labor Organization, the International Atomic Energy Agency, the International Civil Aviation Organization, and the Inter-American Development Bank. And whereas almost 1.5 million Dominicans now residing in the United States are an important element in the special relationship between the two countries. Rhode Island's Dominicans number among the state's smaller ethnic groups, but the community imparts a rich history and vitality through their presence in our ocean state. The strong civic participation and business ethic within Rhode Island's Dominican community and local businesses owned by Dominican immigrants are evidenced by their myriad contributions, greatly adding to the economic vitality of our state. And whereas the Dominican American community plays another essential role through their representation in the United States Armed Services, many Dominican Americans have made the ultimate sacrifice, giving their lives defending America's liberty, security, and freedoms. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this Senate of the State of Rhode Island and Providence Plantations hereby commemorates the 172nd anniversary of Dominican Republic independence on February 27, 2016, and proudly recognizes the significant contributions that Dominicans have made to the State of Rhode Island and the United States. And be it further resolved that the Secretary of State be and she is hereby authorized and directed to transmit duly certified copies of this resolution to the various Dominican organizations in the State of Rhode Island and to His Excellency President Danilo Medina Sanchez and Her Excellency Vice President Margarita Maria Cedeno-Lizardo.
Chairman Pichardo.
Madam President, I move passage.
Senator Pichardo moves passage, second by Senator Metz, Senator Nesselbush, Senator Felag, Senator McCaffrey, Senator Ruggiero, Senator Goodwin, Senator Velasquez, Senator Lynch, Senator Gallo, Senator Miller, Senator Jabor, Leader Algier, Senator Kettle, Senator Lombardi, Senator Coyne, Senator Archibald, Senator DePalma, Senator Chacon, Senator Satchel, Senator Golden, Senator Raptakis, Senator Sosnowski, Senator Crowley. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The resolution passes and will be left on the desk. Senator Pichardo, for purposes of introduction.
Yes, Madam President, and if you indulge me, through you and to you, I'd like to say a few words also on this day as we celebrate the Dominican Republic independence. But it's also a special time for Dominicans and Dominican Americans and immigrants here in Rhode Island throughout the country. As it was stated in the resolution, close to 2 million Dominicans and Dominican Americans reside in the United States, and over 44,000 here in Rhode Island. I stand proud in this chamber as an immigrant myself, born in the Dominican Republic, came here to the United States at the age of 9, and have gone through my American experience, and I am living the American dream and continue, and that is due through my mother, and my friends, and also those who came before us and made all the sacrifices. And so today in this chamber, a couple of friends and also leaders in the community join us. Current president of the Dominican American Heritage and Award Celebration and Committee, the president Pedro Pablo de la Rosa. I have Anarelis Cruz, who is the newly president for 2016 and 17. Hugo Adames, a local radio host and legendary in the Dominican Republic and here in the United States for his masters of salsa. For those of you who dance salsa and merengue, you will be hearing from him in the near future. His lovely wife, Margarita Adames, who's also a member of the committee. Franklin Solano, who is the new vice president of the organization and a leader in Central Falls and Pawtucket. Evelyn Perez, former president of in the community of the organization, and also works for the state. And my dear friend and leader Jacinta Peña, who's living larger than life and traveling the world, but also a leader in the Dominican community and in Rhode Island, lives in the west end, actually north end of Providence. So want to welcome them to the chamber. And lastly, we have our current Vice President, Octavio Gomez, who also is part of the committee, but as a photojournalist from the Dominican Republic, and does a wonderful job here in the local newspaper, Providence Español, and also Acontecer Latino. So if you could all please, again, give him a nice welcome to the Senate. And the last thing I would say, on behalf of the Dominican Republic and the community, thank you for all you do. Keep us in mind when you make decisions here, but also take a trip this summer. Go to the Dominican Republic. Punta Cana, Casa de Campo, Puerto Plata is waiting for you. Just see me if you need to travel. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Senator Crowley?
Madam President, I also want to recognize Franklin Solano, who's my constituent, a longtime friend of mine. I want to welcome him to the chamber. Thank you.
Senator Nesselbush?
Thank you, Madam President. I, too, rise to welcome our distinguished Latino and Dominican guests here this afternoon. But I also rise to thank Senator Pichardo for always carrying that Latino banner and for all that you do in the community and up here at the State House. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you. There's no further new business at this time. The next order of business is today's calendar. Madam Whip, are there any changes to today's calendar?
Thank you, Madam President. Without objection, may we take item number 1 and place that over onto next Tuesday's calendar, please?
There being no objection, so ordered. Item number 2, Senate Bill 2061, an act relating to alcoholic beverages. Senator Crowley.
Thank you, Madam President. It was going to be Betty Crowley Day, but I have to put one aside. But this particular piece of legislation, alcohol vapor, is produced by heating up alcohol, which it produces a vapor, or you put it on dry ice. This goes right to the brain. It destroys your brain. Young people are doing this quite often, and it needs to be stopped. It goes right to the bloodstream, and it causes rapid intoxication. It's worse than if they were drinking whatever they drink these days. I don't even know anymore. This is called smoking alcohol because the way they inhale it like they inhale a cigarette, Madam President. It destroys the lungs. It destroys the brain in developing young people. It's very, very serious. And I don't know that we have a problem right now, but I think we should be proactive and make it illegal to be in our state among our young children. You know what happens when you're an alcoholic and you've been drinking for years? Your brain deteriorates, you get cirrhosis of the liver, you get dementia. This can happen to a teenager in their formative years. With that, Madam President, I move passage.
Senator Crowley moves passage, second by Senator Lombardo, Senator McCaffrey, Senator Sosnowski, Senator Lynch, Senator Nesselbush, Senator Metz, Senator Goodwin, Senator Ruggiero, Senator G., Senator O'Neill, Senator Lombardo, Senator Conley, and Senator Archambault. Senator Pagliarini.
Question for the sponsor.
Will the sponsor yield? Yes.
Just a clarification. I'm looking at the second page, line 3. If I understood you, this is a gas.
It's a vapor, yes.
It's a vapor. How do you buy it? How do you sell it if it's a vapor?
Well,
wait one
first
second.
of all,
please be seated, Senator.
Thank you.
Sure. Go ahead, Senator.
Thank you. First of all, you can get it produced in a medical pharmacy because it can be used if you use a device for it. This is just taking regular over-the-counter alcohol, Jim Beam, I guess, is one of them, and actually putting it over dry ice and literally breathing it in. Now, how do you get it? How do they get alcohol? It's the same situation. That's how you get it. I mean, if a youngster goes and asks somebody to go and buy a sixth or a fifth of some kind of an alcohol, it can be any kind. It can be gin, it can be vodka, it can be whiskey, it can be bourbon. All they have to do is put it over the dry ice or heat it up, and they breathe in that vapor. Thank you, Madam President.
Are there any further questions or discussions? There being none, will the clerk please unlock the machine? Shall an act relating to alcoholic beverages pass? Have all senators indicated their vote? Will the clerk please lock the machine? 36 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and the act passes. Item number 3, an act relating to courts and civil procedure, procedurally generally fees. Senator Crowley.
Thank you, Madam President. This bill comes about this past summer. I had the pleasure of serving on the Rhode Island statewide grand jury. And the last time we paid a fee to, or increased a fee to the people who serve on our juries was back in 1983. And $15 then is equivalent to $6.79 today. I came up with the $35 figure when I asked the finance people, tell me what is the equivalent to $15 today in 2015, 2016. And that's where they came up with the $35 figure. I think it's a fair amount. We're always saying we need to compare ourselves to Massachusetts and Connecticut. We're right in the middle of the two. Massachusetts pays $50 a day, and Connecticut pays $50 a day. Our employers are not required to pay an individual. They do, some of them, but not all of them. And $15, now it's even worse if you have to come to Providence. I mean, $15 just doesn't cut it. And we're always saying that juries are supposed to be equivalent to our peers. All right? And, we got to make it so people don't make an excuse to get off a jury because it's a financial hardship. And I think $35 is fair and reasonable. With that, Madam President, I move passage.
Senator Crowley moves passage. Seconded by Senator McCaffrey. Senator Felags, Senator Pichardo, Leader Ruggiero, Leader Algio, Senator G, Senator Lombardi, Senator Archibald, Senator Connolly, Senator Morgan, Senator Nesselbush, Senator Sosnowski, and Senator Matz. Is there any discussion? There being none, will the clerk please unlock the machine? Shall an act relating to courts and civil procedure, procedure generally fees, pass? Have all senators indicated their vote? Will the clerk please lock the machine? 36 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and the act passed. That concludes today's calendar. We will now revert to announcements and introductions. Senator Cody.
Announcement, Madam President.
Please proceed.
Committee on Commerce will be meeting at the Rise in Room 212.
Thank you. Senator Nesselbush.
Yes, Madam President. 2 announcements.
Please proceed.
The first is that the Committee on Health and Human Services will be meeting at the Rise in the Lounge, and an introduction when it is appropriate. Is that now?
Certainly. Please proceed.
Thank you. Madam President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, I rise to welcome back to the Senate a man who needs no introduction here. He is a legend in the city of Pawtucket. He is a legend here in the Senate. He's my friend, my predecessor, the handsome, the erudite, Magistrate John J. McBurney III.
Leader Ruggiero.
An announcement, Madam President.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the Senate. I'm pleased to announce the birthday of one of our staff people today. Please join me in welcome congratulating Greg Parry, our press secretary, on his 50th birthday today.
Senator Jabbour.
Thank you, Madam President. An announcement, please.
Please proceed, Senator.
Judiciary will meet at the Rise in Room 313.
Thank you. Are there any further announcements and/or introductions at this time? If there are none, is there any objection to transmitting adopted resolutions to the Secretary of State, all matters passed by the Senate to the Honorable House of Representatives, and all matters passed in concurrence to Her Excellency the Governor? Hearing none, so ordered. The desk is now clear of business. Madam Whip, for purposes of adjournment or recess.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the Senate. If there's no further business to come before the Senate, I move that the Senate stand in recess.
Senator Goodwin moves that the Senate stand in recess, seconded by Senator Kettle. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Senate stands in recess.